Hello, and welcome to Vacation Station, hosted by Lisa and Nancy, editors of BigBlendMagazines.com.
Hey everybody, welcome to Big Blend Radio's second Friday Vacation Station food, wine, and travel show with Nancy Reed and Lisa Smith. We are the crazy mother-daughter travel team and publishers of two digital interactive magazines. We have Big Blend Radio and TV Magazine. That's our variety, travel, lifestyle, leisure publication. And we also have Parks and Travel Magazine. That covers just that, parks and travel, as well as our Love Your Parks tour where we're traveling across the country. Of course, you can see them all at bigblendmagazines.com. And, our second Friday show is always excited. We get to chat with different travel writer members of the International Food, Wine, Travel Writers Association. We call them IFTWA. And we get to hear all about their favorite destinations, their recent destinations. And on today's show, we're chatting with travel writer and photographer Chris Cutler. In fact, she is the executive editor of the FWT magazine, the Food, Wine, Travel magazine for IFTWA. And she's joining us to talk about 4 amazing towns in Italy. Very excited to chat. Beautiful article. You can see it up on blendradioandtv.com. You'll also be able to see it in an upcoming issue of Big Blend Radio and TV magazine. But I encourage you to go to her website, coldpastaandredwine.com, and also go to chriscutler.com. What's up with the cold pasta? But welcome, Chris.
Well, good morning. Thank you very much. Cold pasta, I don't know. I was just trying to think of something unique for the website title. And when I was a child, I used to eat cold pasta. Well, I still do eat cold pasta all the time. And I thought, well, it fits. Cold pasta, red wine.
I like it. Cold pasta, I'll eat cold pasta. Actually, I remember, yes, I had a boyfriend who that was my breakfast one time. Anyway, that's cold pasta.
Actually, that used to be I'm not a breakfast person, but I do like cold pasta for breakfast.
See, with sun-dried tomatoes.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Exactly.
All righty.
Well, we eat cold pizza, especially when you travel.
And cold
Exactly.
pizza.
Cold pizza is good with beer or wine. Yeah, red wine. Okay,
Red wine.
Right before we started recording this, you figured out how to say. Well, you know how to say all these Italian names and words, and I'm excited to hear about all these different destinations today. But is Montepulciano? Is that my favorite wine?
It is Montepulciano. Comes from the Abruzzo region in Italy.
Okay, and that's one of the areas we're going to talk about today, Abruzzo, right?
We are.
Salmona.
Salmona is actually the area from which my grandparents emigrated. They were from a town. They were from a town about 10 minutes from Salmona.
Oh, wow. And now, did you write about them? Because I was on chriscutler.com, and it looks like you do a lot in regards to writing memoirs and teaching memoir writing. And I think that's always such a good tool for travel writers because it goes hand in hand.
That is actually how I got involved in travel writing. I have an MFA in creative nonfiction from Murray State University in Kentucky. And when I was in my program, we had to write 25 to 30 pages every month. So I was very stuck one semester. I just could not figure out what the heck to write. And I sat down and I had a photo of my grandmother on a table next to me. And I started writing about my grandmother from the Abruzzo region. That got me into the genealogy stuff. And then I was set on finding the town that woman was born in. I found the town. I have uncovered a zillion secrets that they never told us about. and now I'm an Italian citizen, actually.
Wow.
Oh.
Wow.
Wow.
It seems like you keep going back there, and in your life, you also keep going back to Las Vegas.
I live in Las Vegas right now. And yes, my husband worked here in the late 80s, 90s, and then got a job in Nashville. We lived in Nashville for 14 years and then came back here after he retired. But now we just bought a condo in Florida, actually, because our son and daughter-in-law live there.
We used to
But
live
we're
in
not moving
Florida.
there permanently. It's just,
Yeah.
part-time to be closer.
Nice,
Hmm.
nice. So
Yeah.
now, do you like to cook as well? That's the other thing.
I do cook a lot, and I do make my own pasta. I
Oh.
make, any kind of pasta that you can think of. I haven't tried making, what is it called? There's one that you twist and everything when you make the dough. I don't do that, but I'll make spaghetti and pasta alla chitarra, which is pasta that's cut on a machine that looks like a guitar machine.
Ooh.
Machine is stretching it. It's a piece of wood that has strings on it. And then, and that's from the Abruzzo region. That's typical of their pastas. Then I make ravioli and lasagna and tortellini,
Ah,
because
Wow.
those are pretty easy to make. So,
Hmm.
when we lived in South Africa, and there was a saying that went around. It's part of some joke, and they used to always say, well, I think it came from Not the 9 o'clock News, the TV show in England, because
mhm.
there was always these weird little comedies, and we were weird about British humor, Nancy and I, and it was always, would you like casual sex or ravioli? And that's how you judged your dates. A lot of times ravioli won.
Yeah.
But anyway, I don't know why that came to mind. But you said ravioli, and that's exactly where my brain goes. That's it. But so Italy, you keep going back over there, and you take people there?
I do. I take small groups. The largest group I've taken is 9, but they don't move. They didn't move. They stayed in Florence for 10 days. Usually I take between 3 and 6 people. It's easier to move that way. I don't have to rent a van,
Mm.
um, and so on. I try and show people authentic Italy, because everybody,
Hmm.
I don't want to say everybody, but most Americans think of Italy as Rome, Venice, and Florence. And while they're beautiful, I like to call them the Disneylands of Italy,
Mm.
because they're crowded, chaotic. Um, as a matter of fact, the first time I went, that's exactly where we went. We didn't go to Venice. We went to Naples instead, but I didn't like Italy. That was in 1996. And
Wow.
it took a lot of convincing to get me to go back. Actually, it was when I was writing about my grandmother that I got very interested. And my husband said, let's find the village where she was born. And that's what got me back there. And oh gosh, that was in 2010. And I've been back 16, 17 times since then.
Whoa.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yes. No wonder you became a citizen. Why not?
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, there are a lot of advantages to it in that if you're not an EU citizen, you have a 90-day window in 6 months that you can be there. And if
Hmm.
you are an EU citizen, you don't have to worry about it. So that was one of my big reasons for wanting to get the passport. Most of them were personal, but that was one.
Ah, there it is. Hey, and then you digging up all your family history. Man, you never know what you'll dig up. We found all kinds of interesting things in ours, and that's, you
Yes.
know, but that's really neat that, when you have that kind of connection to travel. One of our expert, Glenn Burrows, he's a family history expert, and we actually have a family history show we do every third Friday with Holly from Family History Expos. And
Right.
he takes people on tours through England to connect to their family history. And the power of, it's just powerful, the experience of standing where your ancestors, maybe lived or worked, or even, were maybe soldiers or something, so there's just a really powerful connection. Do you think that's part of it for you about going back to Italy?
Oh my God, it is. The first time I was there in my grandparents' village, we went in to get their birth certificates. My grandfather and grandmother were from the same town, but I found out they didn't know each other before they got married. But
Ooh.
that's a long story. But when the
Cool.
when the clerk in the office saw my grandfather's name and who his brothers and sisters were, she got very excited. And at the time, I didn't speak Italian, but she pulled me to a window and she was pointing at a house down below the building we were in. And the guy that was interpreting for me said, that's the house where your grandfather was built or born, and it's still in the family. So we went down
Wow.
there, And the wife of my second cousin was still alive at the time. And oh my God, she took us in the house. I was in the house where my grandfather grew up.
Wow.
That's crazy.
It is. And now I've met relatives that I didn't know I had. And it's funny, the guy, when he was taking us to the village, he said, now you have to understand, it's a small town. He said, so when we go in, you're strangers and they're going to stare at you. He said, so don't let, and they did. It was very funny. There were two women sitting on chairs as we went up the hill, and we waved to them and they just kind of stared at us. And when we came back down the hill about 2 hours later, they were still sitting there. We waved to them and they just stared at us as we went by. But within 2 days, the next morning when I went to the clerk's office and found all of this out, I went and, went into my grandfather's house and stuff. And then my husband and I went back the next day, and someone who spoke English said to me, oh my gosh, you're Chesillo's cousin. Everybody knew in the village by that time who I was. So now when I go, they all know me.
Oh, that's so cool.
Wow.
It's really fun.
Yeah.
You have your own village.
I do. It takes one too.
Yeah.
Right. Now let's talk about Abruzzo, that area. So how did you say it? Sulmona? Sulmona. Okay, Sulmona. Let's talk about that area. It's one of the places that you talk about in your article, and you talk about authentic Italy. So you're kind of right out in the villages, right? So Sulmona. So this is where Jordan almonds come from? I thought they came from Jordan.
No, actually they're called confetti, and they were developed years ago by the Pellini family. And the Pellinis still have a workshop there where they make all of these almonds. And some of the photos I sent you had flowers made with the Jordan almonds and everything. They are a big thing in Italian weddings. That when you get married, people, the Italians have them at the receptions, or they give them as little, keepsakes of the wedding and stuff like that. And actually, when we got married, a couple of people threw them at us, which is not real nice because they can smack you.
Oh, I know.
Yeah, I was going to say, but they're really pretty.
They're very pretty. And if you can see what they do with them. I mean, when 30 years ago, they were just little almonds that were sugar coated and stuff. Now they make flowers out of them. They make animals out of them. They now do more than just almonds over there. It's almost like peanut M&Ms and stuff, but they have all different kinds of things in them.
Hey, I'm all for that. So is this a small village? I mean, where do you stay? Like, do you get like a little
Okay,
vacation?
Sulmona is, they told me Sulmona is a large town, and I air quoted that. There are 25,000 people in the town. There are a bunch of Airbnbs there. There are B&Bs. There are hotels. Normally, I stay with a friend of mine who owns an apartment that she rents out. It's called House of the Heart. Or I'll stay in Hotel Ovidius, which is named after the Roman poet Ovid. And I like both of those because they're very central. Sulmona is, as I said, a small town. At 5 o'clock in the afternoon, they close off the main street and it becomes a walkway. The people, you would not believe the number of people that get out and walk up and down the street. And that's called the passeggiata, which was very big in Italy. It still is, but mostly in the smaller towns. The people get out and talk to each other. They have drinks, but it's everybody. That's the thing that gets us from the young ages up to the older people. Some of the older ones can't walk as well, so they'll sit on benches, but people will come up and talk to them. The women walk arm in arm with each other. The men walk arm in arm with each other. My husband likes to joke, though, that it's always an uneven number of men, and you can't have fewer than 3, and it goes up to about 7, and they stand and talk, or they walk and talk. It's such a social thing, and it's so great.
Cool.
Wow.
I think it's really nice.
It is. In a place, I live in Las Vegas in a subdivision where people drive their
Yeah,
car into the garage and close the door, and that's it.
exactly.
And
Yeah,
that's it, yeah.
man, that's got to be like a culture shock going from Vegas. I mean, back in the day when we printed our magazine, we used to print in Vegas, and it was, it was like we called it like Disneyland for adults, and it was crazy. And in between press checks, man, you'd have like a little party going on. But I could imagine like going from there to these little villages and kind of breathing out.
Oh, yeah, that's it. As a matter of fact, Mike and I, let's see, we went back in 2010, and that's the first time we went to Venice, but it was at the end of the trip, and the entire trip had been small villages until that time. And we were very uncomfortable by the time we got to Venice because there were so many people and so much
Mm,
noise and chaos and everything. And we've decided that we really like these small
mm,
towns. I mean, people that you don't know will invite you into their homes for coffee.
mm.
Had that
Oh,
a number of times.
That's
It's
cool.
just amazing to me.
I love that. And then you had like in Sulmona, I'll get there somewhere. You talk about there's like markets, and so to me I love that too. Going into a market and you connect with the locals. Even when as we travel across the country, going to farmers markets, it's sometimes you get local cheese if you're lucky, depending on where you are. You talk to the person, where we were in Florence, Colorado. We were staying at a friend's writer's retreat, her home, and we'd walk across the street and they're farming right across the street, just a small, family farm. You can get fresh eggs and you can get whatever they're growing. And they have like a little wagon. You just go put like money in, like on the honor system. And I'm like, where do you see that anymore in America? Some places have
yeah.
it, and it just is like, that is to me. And you get to talk to them and, find out, how their chickens are. It's cool.
Oh, that's it exactly. And even if they don't speak English, they try it. Everybody over there does speak English. Excuse me, let me take that back. But they're afraid to speak it because they think you won't understand them or you'll make fun of them.
Oh.
But
Oh,
they'll try and communicate with you on things. My husband doesn't speak a word of Italian, but he'll talk to people
Mm-hmm.
as much as he can if I'm not standing right there to translate. And the food is just so good because it is so local.
That's neat.
Tomatoes,
Mm,
I don't like tomatoes here anymore.
no.
After having those, it's like, oh my gosh.
Yeah,
so
that's what's so
funny.
funny. I know I'm gonna play a song for you at the end of the segment here, and I know I'm gonna pronounce it incorrect, but it's from a musician, Emiliano De Ferrari. It's off his
Mm-hmm.
album Monty, and he recorded his album in Brussels, where he lives now. He travels and does a lot, and he just every 2 to 3 years has to go somewhere new. And he said, but he loves Belgium and Brussels. He loves that whole area. He says, but he is like almost in physical pain of wanting his tomatoes.
Yeah, I
You know,
believe it. I believe it.
There's,
I understand that. I crave them.
wow.
yeah, there's a big difference between food outside of this country and food in this country when it comes to texture and taste.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Oh,
not,
there
I
is
don't.
a big one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I don't know if it's just that maybe our food is frozen before we get it and we don't realize what that does to food or what it is. But when we lived in Mexico, the food was better. When we lived in Kenya, it was better. When we lived in South Africa, it was better. Yeah, and so and everything. When you're looking at tomatoes, somehow they're almost sweeter in a way. When we've kind of lost that here.
We have cardboard tomatoes for the most
Yeah.
part. Not everywhere. I think a lot of it, Nancy, has to do with GMOs.
Mhm.
I don't want to get into a political
Yeah,
discussion about it, but I do think that has a lot to do with it.
I agree. I'm with you 100%. But I think this is the thing when you travel and you taste other food and you go, oh my God, this is what a tomato tastes like. I can eat tomatoes, heirloom tomatoes, if they're like
Mhm.
locally grown and things, but I'm not a fresh tomato person. And it's got to do with the texture. And there's like,
Mhm.
I get weird about it, but other countries, I can eat tomatoes, but especially it's an especial thing here where there's like bitsy. Anyway, I don't want to gross
Yeah.
people out. Let's not gross people out. But what I do
Okay.
want to know is, what are these? I'm going to try and pronounce everything because it's fun. Trabochi?
Traboki.
Oh,
Oh
turbots.
my God, those are the neatest things. I just discovered them about 3 or 4 years ago. They are ancient fishing machines, is what they call them. But long time ago, the people on the Abruzzo coast, the men, developed these. They look like giant insects or aliens or something. They're wooden contraptions. They have um, legs that they pounded into the ocean floor or the sea floor, and then they built these little huts on them. And then they have
Huh.
these arms from which they hang netting, and the netting goes into the water along the little path that the fish
Hmm.
follow, and then they
Mm-hmm.
lift them up, and that's how they fished, and they still do
Wow.
today. And you can, a lot of them are now restaurants, and you eat what they catch. And I think I
Wow.
had one photo in there that had, a variety of fish on it, on the platter, and it's just wonderful. If you like seafood, you can't get any fresher than having them catch it right there and then cook it for you.
Wow.
Wow. Well, the other thing about this area, you said that there's. I have to bring this up because we're park people. There's 3 national parks and
There
like
are.
what 35 protected reserves. Wow.
Yes, it's the largest protective reserve area in Europe,
Wow.
um,
Hmm.
and they have. Let me see if I can remember. Some of the beaches are protected also. The reserves are home to the rarest species in Europe, including like a golden eagle, the Marsican brown bear.
Oh,
They
wow.
have a special kind of deer, the chamois, and a wolf.
Wow.
They have made these reserves to guarantee the survival of 75% of Europe's living species,
Wow.
Wow.
believe it or not.
You
Huh.
Um,
know, we forget about the animal species of Europe. A lot of times you
yeah.
think animals, you'll think, South America, Central America, Latin America, America, North America, and then maybe Africa and Australia. But a lot of times we forget that Europe has some like ancient species.
Oh,
Like,
yeah. And it's very interesting that they've made these protected areas, but they also offer activities in them.
mm,
So you can walk. I mean, they have hiking paths throughout the entire region. A region in Italy is like a state. So the region has 30 walking routes and so many hiking areas and stuff like that.
mm,
Um,
Hmm.
it's just ski resorts, but they don't get rid of the animals. They leave them because they're protected. They have cingale, which are like wild boar,
oh, cool.
and
Wow.
but the funny thing is they come down and eat the grapes off of the vineyard, vines and
Oh.
stuff like that, and they're a problem. But they're not allowed to do anything with them because they're
Hmm.
protected.
Wow,
Wow.
that's got to have a little tension there, but they're happy boars.
Yeah, they are. They are. 2 years ago, 3 years ago, they had a big fire in the mountains in Abruzzo, and that really forced the Cingale down and into
Oh,
the vineyards. So
yeah.
they were happy. They were getting some good grapes there.
Now, Agrigento,
Agrigento, yeah.
Agrigento, Sicily. This area sounds like really ancient, and it's interesting because you talk about, the Greek settlement history there, and that's another part that we forget about in regards to the connection, Greece and Italy.
Right. Sicily, the first time I went to Sicily was actually 1 year ago. And I had avoided it because I thought it would be another one of those chaotic and dirty places and stuff. And it is chaotic and it is crowded, but it has areas like Agrigento and other places where they have the Greek settlements. Sicily at one point had the Greeks, the Turks, um, Africans, Spanish, and French
Mm,
on the island, all in
Hmm.
different areas, getting along together, although the Greeks had the majority of it. But Agrigento is the largest Greek settlement outside of Greece that still exists today. That they have some beautiful, beautiful ruins there that are in great shape.
mm. It's
Yeah,
amazing. Looking at your photos, I'm like, that's got to be just, I don't know, that would really trip me out. And where I want to go is okay, is it Scala dei Turchi?
Turkey.
Turkey? Did
Yeah,
I say
Scala
Turkey?
de Turkey. See, the Turkish steps, right?
Oh,
That also is just limestone steps carved into the cliff like, and you can just walk on them and climb up them. It's just beautiful. And with the water and the
mm,
white, I mean, the white of this limestone against the turquoise water is just amazing.
wow. And this is where pirates would come out.
Yay.
Cool.
It is the pirate. Actually, pirates used to attack Sicily a lot, and that's where they would hide because there's this little bay where the steps are, and they would dock there and then come on up the steps and attack the place.
Wow. This is so fascinating to hear all about these little villages, and then like the history is so diverse. You know, everything you're talking about. I mean, I've never heard about all of this in Italy. So to me, this is all new and super cool. And I want to go now. And I want to go to, is it Lucca?
Lucca.
Tuscany? Lucca. I want to go and I want to go to the summer festival.
Summer festival. I have a friend. I have not been to the summer festival. I've been to a different religious festival, but I have a friend that went because her son is involved with some musicians from Germany. She said it is phenomenal because you don't know until just a couple months before who's going to perform, but they've had everybody from Dave Matthews Band and Eric Clapton. Bob Dylan, I think, was the first performer in
Sweet.
1998. And they just get thousands and thousands of people that come to this thing.
I know he did a
Huh?
lot. He was interesting. He did, maybe it was Athens. I think him and Van Morrison in Athens together. I got to go back on that now. And you just see all these ruins in the background and they're singing and I'm like, this is crazy. It's just it's epic, you know, when you think
Oh, it
about,
is.
you know, rock and roll and here you are in this, you know, ancient area. So they have all these festivals. What festival did you go to when you were there?
We went to the Holy Cross celebration, it's at the end of September or mid-September. What they do is they put candles, like little votive candles, around the windows,
Mm,
the archways, and the roofs of all of these buildings within the
Wow.
historic center of Lucca. And then they have a parade that lasts, oh my God, like 3.5 hours. There are so many people. They start in one part of the village and process all the way through to the cathedral. They have so many people that take part of it that the people go into the cathedral and then out the side door because you could never get everybody in it. But it's in honor of the Holy Cross.
wow.
And the entire time they're all singing, blessed is the cross is blessed, in Italian, of course. And oh my God, the 2 times that I've gone, it's been in my head. The song's been in my head for days afterwards. So I said, I've got to avoid that from now on.
Yeah, you know, I was going to say the wall. So there was like a wall around the town.
Right. They did a double wall, basically.
Whoa.
If the invaders got over the first wall, then they'd have to get over the second wall. So it was smart on their part to do that. So it's now built up and they have a park all the way around it. And it's wonderful. You see people on bike, people walking. They have little picnic areas and so on and so forth. They have areas where kids can play, but it gives you a great view of the entire town. It's about, what do I remember? 4.2 kilometers, I think, around it. And I've done it on bike and by walking. And it's just a nice thing to do, a nice way to relax.
Mm,
And it's another thing where people go and meet each other and sit and talk.
mm,
I think that's why I like Italy so much, is because the people still talk to each other.
yeah.
I'm not saying they don't in this country. I don't want to insult anyone, but we don't do it the way they do it.
They relax. I think Europe is more like that too. I mean, and Africa was very much like you know, if you had, barbecue, or they'd call, like in South Africa, braai over there, and
Yeah.
then like the whole neighborhood came out.
Yeah.
And everybody brought things, and it was like whatever you brought, everybody shared everything, and it was just all ages. And that's what I miss in here in this country. I feel like we don't, some of the smaller communities that we travel to, because that's a lot of what we do with going to parks.
Right.
There's some Louisiana isn't, that's it, Nancy. Louisiana and Arkansas, those two states felt very much like you had the entire family going to events. Like we went to the Natchitoches Folk Festival. It was the 40th annual one. All ages, like
Mhm.
family bands with all ages in them that were like amazing. Like, there's like, I'll never forget them. I mean, it just was these, and everybody would talk to you. And, when they talk to you, they hold onto your arm. So like you're like like you're connected when you talk. Like everyone's touchy, but not touchy, but kind of like, hey, I'm connecting with you now.
Well, there's
That's
a warmth. There's more warmth
Yeah,
in a
there
way.
is, and they don't have their
Mhm.
phones out all the time. And
yeah.
that's not to say that Italians don't have phones or Europeans don't have phones. Per capita, I think they actually have more than Americans do. But I go into a certain bar. When I'm there, I live in Bologna a lot,
Mm.
and I've got a little apartment that I rent from somebody, and next to it is a bar. And a bar in Italy is where you get coffee in the morning and you can get alcohol at night, or coffee at night if you so want. But I go in there and the people will have me sit down with them, and they touch, and I never see their phones.
Mm.
Never ever see their phones,
Mm.
because they sit and talk. There's a group of women, there are 5 women that meet every morning in the same bar, and they sit and talk for an hour.
Oh, wow. See, now over
Yeah,
here, you have the old men's club and McDonald's drinking coffee.
exactly. My uncle
Sorry.
used to be
Oopsie.
one of those. No, my uncle used to be one of those. He had a bunch of men that he would meet once a week, and they'd sit
Yeah.
in McDonald's and have coffee.
What, I don't know
That
what it was.
okay.
McDonald's was always, yeah, and then, a different generation will be like, we're going to Dunkin' Donuts. Nancy and I were just talking about that, like donuts for
Mhm.
breakfast. And Nancy's like, no, 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 my teeth are going to curl.
Yeah.
Can't have that. I'll go with the cold pasta. That sounds
Yeah.
better to me. One thing I wanted to touch on in Lucca is you went the Torre. Oh my gosh, I cannot. Guinigi with its a rooftop garden. I'm into rooftop gardens. I want
Guinigi,
one.
yeah. Oh
Mm,
gosh, it has trees on it.
wow,
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
amazing.
it is amazing. I have not gone to the top of it. I have to tell you, I'm a little wussy about going to the top of some of these things, because you have to
I'm with
climb
you.
so many steps, and
Mhm.
I get halfway out of breath. But I swear one of these days I'm going to do it,
Oh, cool.
because I just want to check that out.
That's
It's
cool.
just, yeah, from down below it's beautiful, but you don't get the real feeling of it unless you're up on the top.
In
Wow.
these villages, are people more pedestrian compared to, where we are in the States, driving around Ubers and Lyfts, or are they on motorcycles more? I always think that they're on those little moped things.
Um, uh, in the larger towns, you'll see mopeds more, but you also see bikes.
Mm,
In 2009, I think it was 2009, it might have been 8, when we were going through the financial crisis worldwide, Italy offered residents some kind of a stipend if they would lose the cars or quit
mm,
driving cars so much
right.
and
Oh.
start riding bikes.
Mm,
So you will find a lot of people on bikes. In the villages, most people walk. I don't see cars at all, like in Peterano, which is my grandparents' village. You never see a car. They, of course, have them, because to get to the larger cities, to get to groceries and whatever, they do have to use those. But it's on foot, and that's why they're a lot healthier than we are.
mm,
Mhm.
Even in Bologna, which is considered a medium-sized city, in the historic center, people are walking all the time. If I go to the train station from my apartment, I walk.
mm.
It's about 1.7 miles.
That's nice, though. Walking is good.
It is. And honestly, that is, we bought the condo in Florida that I mentioned before in downtown St. Pete for
Mhm.
that reason, because I've gotten so used to living, first of all, in small spaces in Italy, and secondly, walking.
Mm.
And there's so much, within walking distance of the condo. And it's all because of my life in Italy that we
Mm.
chose this.
Isn't France like that, or Paris?
It is. It is
Yeah.
very much so, also like that. And I guess I should say life in Europe, because I do go to other places too. I mean, I was in Italy for 3 months earlier this year and was not in a car once.
Nice.
Wow.
I like that.
That's
Yeah.
crazy.
I
When
either-
we see people walking in this country, we kind of like, what are they up to?
Exactly.
Or they're with their phone and they're going to walk into a car.
That's
Yeah, we've
true.
seen that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
we've
funny.
seen
You know,
that.
you see people walking, it's like, why are you even, like, I don't understand. You're going to walk into
Yeah.
something. And if they do, I'm sorry, I think it's funny. That's
It's
your
funny.
choice to not look at where you're going. I'm going to do
Right.
a text instead, walk and text. It used to be walk and talk. Now it's walk and text. But the one place in Puglia, is it Alberobello?
Alberobello.
Oh,
Right.
I'll
Oh
get
my
there.
gosh.
Those
It's
houses.
another, aren't they phenomenal? And I just found I found out the history of them. I always thought that the Greeks brought them over, because that area, of course, is on the Adriatic side, so very close to Greece. And there was a lot of emigration from Greece to that coast. So I'm thinking that basically they were Greek influenced, but no, it was because the ruler at the time, who was in Naples, forced the peasants to build homes without using a mortar.
Mm.
Why? I have no idea. But they found that round was easier to build, and it could support a roof that was, cone shaped. So instead of having to put something flat on it, so they did these buildings, and they could take them down quickly because it's just rock put together. So it is a beautiful area.
Mm.
Hmm.
Absolutely. It's you think about, I don't know, they're round, and anything round is more comfortable, I think,
It's like it's hugging you.
yeah. Okay, so the shops and museums are one. Is that
I'm sorry.
the shops?
Yeah.
the-
So you'll see a sign that says museum, free admittance, walk in, and basically they've got some photos or something, a couple of little artifacts, and then a bunch of souvenirs. But the big museum, the main museum, the Museum of the Territory, is like 10 of them combined, and they have displays of ancient agricultural equipment, and they decorate the rooms in period style and stuff. So that's very interesting to go into. But if you just want to see what it truly is like on the inside, going into one of the little shops or something is great. My husband and I actually ate in a restaurant that was in one, and it was like 3 or 4 combined.
Oh, wow.
So you don't well, I imagine that back then some people did live in, just one large round one, but a lot of them are combined.
Mm.
And you can rent them. If you go on Airbnb or HomeAway or VRBO, you can find them for rent. There are
Wow.
some that are B&Bs, and it's pretty cool. The thing that would concern me is that, of course, they're made of stone, so they do retain dampness and stuff. So if you have allergies or whatever, you need to be careful if you're going to stay in one.
That's a good tip for people, to know that. Like, I'm like that. I get a little asthmatic, so there's certain areas you stay away from. You can visit, but you don't want to sleep overnight,
Exactly.
Yeah. This is, fascinating. Nancy, let's go to Italy.
Okay.
I know. I want to
can
go.
help you with that.
Okay, I'm all game. I want to go play with the boar in the vineyards,
I'm not sure about that.
I still want to do it, and I want to do the Turkish steps. That's cool.
Oh,
Um,
you'll love that.
so now you're the executive editor of FWT magazine, and everyone, you can go to fwtmagazine.com, Food Wine Travel magazine. It's digital, it's beautiful, and it's so cool because you see all the different writers from the International Food Wine Travel Writers Association, IFTWA, that we say, and it's a beautiful publication. It's quarterly, right?
It is at this point quarterly. The next one will come out about a month from now. And it's on hidden treasures around the world. So we're talking about little known places, little known restaurants, little known wineries, things like that. We've
Nice.
got articles coming in it.
Right, beautiful, and that's one of the things I think that's really great for IFTWA is, for the members, that they're, have this outlet, and for everybody as readers, it's a free publication. It's like I said, beautiful. One thing I know, how long have you been part of IFTWA?
I've been with IFTWA 4.5 years now,
Yeah.
and I joined Food Wine Travel magazine. I've been editor about 10 months.
Wow.
And at one point, they had given up on the digital issue, which is, the one on issue.com that we do that you saw. And they were just sticking with the website. But I thought that we needed to resurrect the digital issue. And it's received a lot of good publicity, I would say.
The digital we do both as well, and it seems to be growing and growing.
I think so.
We're seeing it. I'm glad we did it. It took us a
I'm
while.
glad we did too.
We wanted to. I mean, we started as print magazine and then went completely online with the website and radio and everything, and then we kept looking and looking and looking, and it wasn't there yet, but visually we could see what could happen. And finally, like issue.com, and we also do calameo.com, it seems that that's where people are, they're going, and they've gotten better for people to use it on phones. It's very much a good tablet thing, but people like the visuals.
They do, and it's easier to read those than it is to read a website. And that might sound funny, but you can have all the articles together on pages and just flip the pages. Whereas on a website, then you have to go back and then click on another link and so on and so forth. So this makes it a lot easier. And I think people like it a lot better.
I agree. I mean, and people can click through the websites, which is another big part of it. And they can, it's a really cool, I don't know. We love it.
Yeah, I do too.
It's awesome. That's awesome. So IFTWA, now I know we're recording this today. It's October, and it's airing the second Friday of November. And at that point, you're going to be in Santa Fe, New Mexico. Beautiful, one of the best cities, the city different, and talk about good food out there. And so you're going to be there at the IFTWA conference, and you're doing a seminar there, right?
I am. Mary Farah and I are doing a seminar on using social media as a writer.
Awesome.
Cool. So we'll be given some hints.
Well, I love following IFTWA on obviously Instagram, Facebook, but there's the Twitter hashtag IFTWA, IFWTWA. I love it. Like every day I go look what's going on, who's posting what, and you see places from around the world, and it's so cool, and it will make you hungry.
I think that's the great thing too about our organization is that, yes, the majority of us are American, but we have members all over the world. And we get views from people all over the world. And there are other organizations that are just writers organizations that are just American. So I like the fact that we have a little bit of difference there. We can offer you a little bit more.
So everybody, again, ifwtwa.org is the website to go to keep up with International Food Wine Travel Writers Association, whether you're a writer, photographer, an author. You'll be a destination as well, so go check them out there. And also keep up with Chris. Go to chriscutler.com and also go to coldpastaandredwine.com. You'll go all over the world with her if you go there. And of course, read her article on Italy, authentic Italy, all these destinations we were talking about. It's up on blendradioandtv.com and also coming up in Big Blend Radio and TV magazine. Of course, you can keep up with Big Blend Radio. We air segments almost every day from Sunday through Friday. So the only day we take off is Saturday, apparently, and that might change too. So if you go to bigblendradio.com, you'll see all the different outlets we're in, everywhere from Spreaker to Google to Apple, Spotify, you name it, we're there. And here's the music for you, Chris. So Chris, this is, again, Emiliano De Ferrari. I just want to keep saying his name. It's awesome. And it's off of his album Monty. And you can go to his website, emilianodeferrari.com. I remember when he came on the show, I'm like, how do I pronounce this? He knows, well, you know the Ferrari car?
Yeah.
And I'm like, is that in your family?
I wish.
I know. And this song is called, it's Echo. It's ECCO. So Echo, right? Echo. I knew I'd get it wrong. But here it is, everybody. Echo from the album Monty.
Thank you both so much.
Such a pleasure.
Quando arriva l'ora non hai bisogno di chiedere e non hai bisogno di risposte. Quando arriva l'ora è soltanto il momento. Non sei mica in ritardo. Non c'è ragione di credere, fai la conta se vuoi e poi salta, siamo fatti di carta e per un po' si vola. Quando fu il suo momento, il suo attimo, lo decisero solo le stelle. Fu l'amore con tanto di fuochi ed un lungo becco di cicogna. E quando invece di spaccare il secondo venne fuori senza lacrime e il sangue che gli fai non respiri le note e che ascoltava nel blu della pancia e si vola. Quello mio non è pronto, sarà qui con le nebbie d'inverno. Forse io l'avrò intuito, sarà improvviso per protrarsi in eterno. Come dire che muoio da vivo e qualcosa di cui già mi pento. Allunghiamo la vita un minuto e sarà quello alla fine il momento. Il momento. Ecco arriva il momento, prepararsi e poi prendere il treno, fa più in fretta di quello in ritardo, non decido è soltanto il mio tempo, la mia vita è decisa all'istante. balla se vuoi e poi salta. Se mi piace perché sei un gigante, bella e dolce ma non è